Hello everyone, it's Friday, and it's actually Friday as I'm recording this. Normally I record this like a day or two before it actually goes up, but it's actually Friday. First day of spring, and I thought I'd take a seat outside because it's actually really nice out here. It is a little windy, it's a little kind of chilly, I got a jacket on, but you got birds making noise, and it's just really nice to be outside. What I wanted to talk about, and this was actually a video idea I had several years ago that kind of just fell by the wayside. I wanted to talk about some of the things in life that I love. I made a list, or I started making a list at least a few years ago, of a list of 5 things that I love. And they're not so much like physical objects as more of just emotions or feelings that you can get from doing something. So the first thing on the list was sitting at a railroad crossing and hearing the distant sound of a train horn. I've been doing the train photography thing for over 15 years now, and one of my favorite things to do is to sit at a railroad crossing in a very rural area and just listen to the sound of an approaching train. Whether that's the horn, whether that's the sound of the train working, like you can hear the engine and moving like that. That's what I love hearing. There was a crossing that I used to sit at when I was in high school, and I loved going there on spring and summer evenings just because it was so quiet and so peaceful. The road was not very heavily used. Unfortunately, since I've been back, they're kind of redeveloping that area, so the road's probably going to get a little bit more busy. But I loved how you could hear the horns of the trains from miles away, and just sitting there and listening to that was just a great feeling for me. The second thing I had on my list was soft contemplative organ music, or actually physically playing the organ. I have loved the pipe organ and the organ as an instrument since I was a child, and I've always wanted to learn how to play it, and when I got to college it was amazing to me that I could learn how to play the organ. That was when I started taking lessons, and now while I don't take lessons anymore, I have some videos of me playing the organ on this channel which you can go and check. I think there's a playlist. There might be. I'll link one of them in the card up here. I'll link the latest one that I made a couple months ago. I'll link it in the card up here. There's just something about moving around and the physicality of playing the organ that I love. But there's also just the quiet, subdued sounds that the organ can produce. I mean, yeah, we think of an organ, we think of, big proclamation, processional, but organs aren't just meant to be loud. They can be quiet, they can be serene, they can be pretty. The third thing I like goes back to my high school years, winning march-offs, or at least when I was learning how to be a drum major. I don't know if I've ever talked about this. When I was in high school, I had the chance to go to a drum major camp in the summertime before my senior year. One of the things we would do at this camp were participate in march-offs. A march-off is kind of like Simon Says, but with marching commands. So we would then go to our ready position and somebody would be calling off commands, usually pretty quick, to get us to trip up. There was one instance when I was at this drum major camp where we had a march off, and it got down to about 6 or 7 of us left, including myself, and the command that was given was by the numbers, present arms. Now when the commander says by the numbers, most movements are executed in 2 moves, where you have to move one way, and then you have to move another way. So presenting arms, it's the salute. So by the numbers, you would go to the first move, which is actually your arms extended out like this, and then the second move is to go here. Well, I was the only one who went out to here. Everyone else went to here. And even though I knew I was right, I couldn't move. I had to stay in this position until I was called back down to the ready. Now, what the really cool thing was about this whole camp thing, when somebody won a march-off, they gathered everybody around this person, called them down to the ready, and then the commander said, now when we call this person to attention, you need to be as loud as you can, screaming and hollering, all that stuff. So they call you down, they call you up to attention, they call you to the present arms, then they themselves salute you, and then they shake a hand while everybody's cheering around you. That was one of the most amazing feelings I ever had when I was in high school. Over 10 years later, I still remember it. The fourth feeling, or the fourth thing that I love, are nighttime rainstorms, or just when it rains at night. Like, I love going to bed at night hearing the rain hitting the roof. This is one of the reasons why I like sleeping on the top floor of a building, because you can hear the rain hitting the roof. Now, I don't know if you can hear that when you're on floors below, but I do know that when I've stayed at hotels in my life and I've been on like the top floor and it's raining outside, I can hear it raining. And to me, it's a very calming feeling. It's a very calming sound. And I've always really enjoyed that. I've also enjoyed waking up in the morning and hearing it rain outside. It's a very peaceful kind of sound. So that was a more simple one. The last one was a little bit harder for me to think about, but after doing some considerable thinking, I thought, well, one of the reasons that I became a teacher was because I enjoy seeing students understand things for the first time. And that's another feeling that I like. The moment that a student understands something that they previously did not understand before. In teaching, we call it the aha moment, or I have a teacher friend who calls it the aha moment, and it's true because that's what it is. It's the moment where something that's previously not understood is all of a sudden made perfectly clear. I've had those moments myself in my life, and when they happen to my students, it's such a rewarding feeling to know that I'm assisting them in helping them to understand whatever this thing might be. So that's a list of my 5 things that I love. I can't really describe them any other way in that they're 5 things that I actually love. I know there's more, but those are what I had written down from several years ago and that I added over the last few days. And I thought I'd share that with you. Maybe you can relate to some of those. I know some of them are a little bit more specific to the things that I do, but if you can relate to any of those kind of feelings, or if you have your own feelings that you love yourself, leave them below in comments and we can share them together. Like I said, I have more feelings that I love. Those are just the 5 that I could think of. So that's all for me today. Take care. God bless. I'll see you all tomorrow.